so we have here a light painting demonstration. You're going to want to process this image using our raw processor before you open your image, so that you have the colors you want and the intensity of the colors, so forth. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to crop our image for an 8x10. So we're going to click on our crop tool. This is going to end up being a horizontal image, and I'm going to leave some black room around this image as well. I'm going to make the width 10. I'm going to make the height 8. And I'm going to make the resolution 300. And I'm going to come over here and I'm going to use my crop tool to crop it. It's going to automatically crop it to an 8x10. I'm going to leave a little space around it. I'm going to use the rule of thirds and crop this image. Great. So the next step is I want to duplicate my background. And I'm going to call this working image 1. And OK. Great. I'm going to keep this image as is, and I'm going to duplicate it again, and I'm going to call it working image 2. Now this image I'm going to change. If you look at the directions for the light painting assignment, you're going to see that there's a lot of options. And I'm going to go, the very first option I'm going to use is option number 9, which is duplicating layers, which is what I'm doing here. And I'm also going to go in and use an image adjustment. I'm going to come up here and I'm going to go to image adjustments, hue saturation, and I'm going to vary the color of this. I'm going to bring it all the way down so I have a green and a purple. I'm going to say OK. Now I want to move this image, so I'm going to click on my move tool. Show transform controls is on, and I'm going to move my image, and I'm also going to rotate it slightly. Okay, I'm going to add a layer mask to this in a little bit. I'm also going to resize this slightly. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger and move it up slightly. And I'm going to click enter, and for right now I'm just going to leave it like this because I am going to add a layer mask to blend this in. I'm going to go to my working image number 1 again. I'm going to duplicate that layer. I'm going to call that working image 3. OK. And I'm going to move that working image 3 to the very top. Again, I'm going to come over here to image adjustments, hue saturation, and I'm going to move it now to the right. Do the opposite. I'm going to have it kind of go purple, yellow. OK. So now I'm going to move this image up a little bit. I'm going to rotate it, and I'm going to resize it, make it really big, move it up a little bit, and go enter. Alright, so I've got 3 images here which need layer masks. So working image 2 is going to have a layer mask, and working image 3 is going to have a layer mask. So if we look at our criteria here, we can see that we're using layer masks, which is required to be used, and we are combining multiple images, which is number 4. We use duplicating layers, which is number 9. And even though we didn't use a create new fill or adjustment layer with hue or saturation, we did use image adjustments, so that also counts. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start using my layer mask. Come over here and click on my brush, and I'm going to click on working image number 3. I'm going to go in with a very large soft brush and I'm just going to go at 100% opacity because I really want to get rid of I want to just have just a little bit of my right corner showing through, and everything is going to go black. So I'm revealing all the layers below. Now I'm going to click on my working image number 2, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to remove the layer and reveal my working image number 1 below. However, I want to put back some of the painting on working image number 2. I want to go back in and put this in. And I'm also thinking that I'm going to adjust the size of this a little bit. I took too much out. I'm going to adjust the size a little bit and actually have my working image number 2 be slightly bigger. So I'm going to increase the size of it, bring it up, increase the size, bring this up to the corner, click enter, and I'm going to go back in with my brush and fine-tune my layer mask a little more. Okay, so I'm going to go back in with my brush. I'm going to fine-tune the layer mask. I want to put back in, oops, edit, and step backward, edit, step backward. Let's go back on my layer mask and put back in my working image number 2. My working image number 2. Alright. And I'm thinking I'm going to move this a little bit this way so that working image number 2 overlaps slightly with working image number 1. There we go. So now this is starting to look right. I feel like these layer masks are finally coming together, and my 3 images, which have different colors now, are looking pretty good here. Okay, so I've duplicated my layers. I have my original background layer, which I'm not doing anything to. I've got working image 1, which is this first one right here, working image number 2, which is here in the left corner, and working image number 3, which is the 4th one up here. I've varied the colors. Okay, so now it's time to add some create new fill adjustment layers right down here, and I'm going to add in some solid colors. But first I want to select some colors before I go and do that. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to come and pick some colors from my palette here. I'm going to kind of go with kind of a purple color, and let's see what happens if I fill in this with a solid purple. Alright, so I've got my solid purple filled in, and now I'm going to come over here and I'm going to adjust my blending mode. Okay, so blending modes is a required tool to use. You'll notice that on number 3, and it may also need to adjust opacity down. So right now I'm doing step number 5, which is paint bucket tool. I added in a solid color. Now I'm going to show you a really cool way to quickly click through your blending modes. You're going to highlight your blending mode here, and you're going to use your little wheel tool on your mouse. You're going to turn it, and you're going to see that as you turn it, it makes a slight change depending upon your blending mode. So, do you want luminosity? Do you want color? Do you want saturation? Do you want hue? Exclusion, difference, hard mix, pin light, linear light, vivid light, soft light, overlay, lighten color, linear dodge, color dodge, screen, lighten, darker color, linear burn, color burn, multiply, darken, dissolve, normal. Okay, as I was going through here, I think I really liked the hue. So I'm going to go to hue, not hue, I'm sorry, saturation. I really like saturation. So let's turn it off. There's saturation, with purple, and there's none. So there's no purple and there's saturation. But really all I did was kind of intensify it. I want to bring in some of that purple. So maybe I want to do overlay and bring down the opacity a little bit so it's a more subtle overlay. And I want the overlay to kind of impact my right image up here. So I'm going to go and remove the purple from this part of the image here. So I'm going to go in with my mask, my layer mask, and take off the purple so that it only impacts this right top image a little bit with a little bit of purple. Okay, so now I'm going to add in another solid color. This time I'm thinking I'm going to add in red. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and come up here. I'm going to add in a solid color of red. And I'm going to come in and adjust this. I'm going to bring this to overlay, and let's see what happens if I do overlay. Maybe I want color dodge. No, maybe I want hue. No, maybe I want. So I think I'm just going to kind of click through these and see which one I like the best. I'm thinking I'm going to go with exclusion, and I'm going to bring the opacity down. Alright, let's see. I'm going to go in on my layer mask. I'm going to just kind of play with this a little more. So you see how you have to play with this? I'm going to take the exclusion off of here. Except for the very top corner. I'll have a little bit of red up there. In fact, I can go in with my gradient tool and just kind of gradually blend that in a little bit. Bring my opacity to about 50%, and let's drag this across and just kind of gradually blend that in, and then bring my opacity down a little bit. Okay, now I'm going to go in with another color. Let's choose, let's do green, and let's come in with a solid color, and we will do a green color, and we'll play with our blending mode. I think I'm going to bring it down to overlay. Bring our opacity down. And I'm going to add a layer mask, which I already did, so I don't have to do it again. I'm going to go and use my layer mask to remove some of that green effect. I'm just going to keep a little bit of green just on the bottom here. Okay, and this time I'm going to add a texture. I'm going to go in and add a texture. Which is pattern. I'm going to go ahead and add a texture. I'm going to come in over here and I'm going to select a texture I'd like to use. In fact, I can select all different types of textures, and I'm going to scale this up a little bit. Okay, and I'm going to adjust the opacity down, and I'm going to blend this in using my layer mask, I'm sorry, my blending mode, I'm doing kind of like a checkered board pattern over this, and I'm going to use my blending mode. I think soft light works so far the best as I go through this. Soft light definitely seemed to work pretty well. And I'm going to bring the opacity down a little bit so it's like a very subtle checkerboard pattern. So you can see here how you can use a lot of these blending modes and all these different create fill adjustment layers. Look at all these different ones here. We've got at different opacities to make a very interesting image. Let's kind of crop into that a little closer so we can see what's going on here. Now, I want to talk to you about an optional feature that you can add to this, and that is, let's say you want to add more light painting lines, and well, you don't have it here. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to show you how to do that, but I'm going to show you in a second video tutorial. So I would like you to just hold on for that, because you should watch the second video tutorial, which talks about how to add some new paint lines, some new light painting lines using what's called the pen tool.